Nate, can you mute?
Oh, I'm muted on my speaker. I can mute
Your mic is hot.
let me
Welcome in, everyone, and welcome to this week's Legacy Live. This is our second time doing this. Let me go ahead and fix my camera there a little bit. This is our second time doing this, and the focus of this is, one, we want to introduce you guys to Legacy, but beyond that, we want this to be an ongoing dialogue where we can talk about some of the things that matter to you all. And by you all, I'm talking about, Black and brown folks in business, in technology, in the world, some of the hot topics, some of the things that that we're all talking about, and giving some perspectives on those from myself and from my co-founders, Kelly and Nathan. So as we get this thing started, the first thing I want to do is just take a brief moment just to introduce each one of us, and then we're going to get into what Legacy's about, and we're going to hop into these hot topics. This is something you guys absolutely do not want to miss. This is going to change every couple of weeks, because every couple of weeks there's always something new. There's always something going on, something for us to talk about, something for us to strategize about, something for us to share some thought leadership on, and perhaps help you all through some of these different challenges. So with that said, my name is Ron L. Richards, and I serve as the CEO of Legacy TSD. And I want to introduce Kelly Blue McMillan next. Kelly, would you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yes, now I can. Kelly Baloo McMillan, and I'm grateful to be here and be a part of this group. I serve as a CTO, Chief Technology Officer, responsible for our vendor relationships, supplier relationships, and ensuring that our cohort members and community members, have access to the best suppliers in the portfolio to be able to help their customers.
Thank you, Kelly. And Nathan?
Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Nathan Cabell. I'm the Chief Operating Officer of Legacy. My role is kind of threefold. Number one, it's to make sure that we enable solutions for our clients. Number two is that we enable solutions for you as our potential sales arm. And number three, just making sure that the back office runs seamlessly so that you have a wonderful experience across all of our legacy platforms.
Thank you, guys. So, just really brief, just a little bit about Legacy and Legacy's mission. Legacy's mission overall is to bridge that technology, not only the technology wealth gap, but the technology opportunity gap, right? So, we have a lot of Black and Brown folks that are unemployed, underemployed, in technology. And so, what we've done is we've created a platform, we've created that has education, um, mentorship, coaching, and community to help not only provide a platform to help people to launch as successful entrepreneurs, but to expedite their success in the technology world. And so we've put a tremendous amount of thought into not only how we build that curriculum, but how we strategically align with partners and create strong go-to-market motions, again, to expedite success. If you guys want to know more about Legacy's mission, if you are interested in applying to be one of our cohorts, to be in one of our cohorts, go to legacytsd.com. If you are a technology company that is interested in being part of our portfolio, go to legacytsd.com. There are buttons there, regardless of whichever group you're fit for. Hit that little button, and it will give you details in terms of how you can get engaged, how you can get involved in the work that we're doing to change the world. Yeah, it's. I know that sounds big and beefy, but we're doing something that's never been done before. But we have a tremendous team to execute it, a great plan, and great partners to help us get there. So, team. So this platform, we've talked a lot about how we want to engage the community, and one of the things that we didn't want it to be is just a weekly or every other week commercial for Legacy. I felt like it'd be a great opportunity for us to not only talk about some of the topics that care about right now, but to help give our perspective on some of these things in ways that would be helpful to the community, and maybe just share some of the things that are top of mind for us. Because I also think that it's important that people that are considering either being a cohort member or being a supplier partner or a mentor, being part of our community, they kind of have to know what we're about. They got to know what our brain, they got to know what we think about these things to make sure that there's alignment. And knowing you guys the way that I know you two, you're tremendous thought leaders and thinkers. So I felt like taking some of these current events and current topics and giving y'all the opportunity to talk about them would provide a lot of value to our community. So, in starting this off, yeah, I just said we'll just punch them in the face with some just what's going on out there, right? And something that's pretty polarizing and has been polarizing the last couple of weeks. But I wanted to talk about it openly and kind of get you guys' thoughts on it. And one thing to just frame this for everyone that is watching this either live or on replay. First of all, we appreciate y'all all. But this is all about productivity. It's about growth mindset. It's about positivity. So that's going to be the theme. We are doers. We're action people. So we don't rant over here. We provide solutions. So that said, let's get into the first topic. Are y'all ready for this?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay, the first topic is
That was a sinister laugh, by the way.
the picture. The picture. For those who are living under a rock and are unaware, a couple weeks ago, President Trump had on his Truth Social platform had released a picture. In that picture, they were depicting many people as animals, and the Obamas were depicted as apes in that picture. And of course, a lot of outrage, in my opinion, deservedly so. But I wanted to start by just opening up that topic. And we want just kind of understanding kind of what you guys, and we've had individual conversations about this, but just kind of like what you guys' thoughts were around it. Where do we go from here? What does it mean? What did it mean to you? And Kelly, I'd love to start with you if you don't mind.
Yeah, so I have a couple of different, I have two different thoughts, school of thoughts. Obviously, very divisive, very intentional post. I think that was a big thing for me. Is that it was very intentional what was being said and depicted in that photo. You can't. There's no other way around it. But the challenge that I think I had was the redaction or the trying to like back away from it and say, oh no, it was a staffer or it was that wasn't the intention or whatever. And I think in a time like this, you know, the challenge again that I have is that so often, even us, we're here, we're professionals. Um, we're literally talking about the highest seat in the land and the first lady being depicted as animals, and not just animals, but a trope that has always been linked to being a brown American, being African American, being Black American. And so it was very disheartening to experience. I didn't bring it up to my children. As you all know, I have two boys. I didn't bring it up to them. They somehow skirted it with the amount of stuff that they do on YouTube and whatnot on the internet. So thank goodness. But at some point, I'm going to have to address that with them. And I think that, again, I have two thoughts. One, if this is a challenge for our country, that we need to be concerned that someone in the highest seat that represents us across the world could represent someone who was impactful in that seat just a few years prior. Um, and then what does that mean for our community? And I mean the American community, right? This gentleman is saying, or this man is saying that, this is what he thinks of a past sitting president. That's hard. It's going to be a difficult conversation at some point when I decide to have it with my sons. So that's one half. The other half is unpopular opinion. I also detached from it. I saw it. I screened it for what it was. I had these thoughts, and it wasn't until candidly I was getting my hair done yesterday, and someone had it on television, whatever that show is that Whoopi Goldberg and some other people are on. And the person that was sitting in on that show said, "Oh no, that's not what he meant at all." And I was just like, so again, two schools of thought. One, that it is impactful not only to us in the Black community, but us as an American community. And what does this say about us to the world? Especially a sitting president that was so well respected and so well liked. And then also how that's going to impact my children. And then just the fact that you can, you can't control everything. So you got to control yourself as much as you can. Sometimes you can't do that. So, it's like for me, I need to stay in what the elders call my right mind. And so I want to take the time, and I looked at it, I experienced it, and then I just detached from it. Oh,
Kelly, thank you for your thoughts on that. Nathan, what are your thoughts?
For me, you can't look at these, or I choose not to look at these instances in isolation. This is thematic now. This is also a second term. So we can't ignore the facts and look at this objectively. Race baiting is as old as politics. And so it's a means of signaling inferiority. It's a means of hurling insults. It's divisive, as Kelly said. So I agree with Kelly and all the things that she stated. I think the other important thing is just to look at incidents that have happened since then, right? Governor Wes Moore was uninvited from the governor's meeting. That's happening this week. That's intentional. And so no, you can't give me a justification for that type of behavior from the leader of the United States and one of the most important roles in the free world. And so the direction that he's chosen to take, I hope, is not the direction of this country, but it does resonate with a small group of people in terms of fear. And so he's playing on that fear to divide us. And so the challenge for me becomes, how do I continue to be civically engaged and fight against, right? So for me, I just double down in situations like this. And also how to not just press the mute on social media and on just news in general, right? Because this is sensational headlines, but it's done with intentionality and done with a level of vile that shouldn't exist. So I have similar conversations with my children about it as well. And they're of age and they're both active in politics. So I'm very proud of them that they are advocating for themselves and using their own voice to help our community. So
I think that one of the things that you both said that maybe a lot of people don't think about is that children, right? Like, so like all of us, we have kids. So having those conversations with our kids, whether they are really young or whether they're, adolescent or whether they're young adults, these are conversations that we have to have with our kids. And that's not, that ain't easy. So, my quick thoughts first. You all know that I went very hard in the paint. Like it was very hurtful to me, very hurtful, and so I let that emotion get to me until I was helped out of that emotion by you all and a couple of other folks, right? And so one of the things that I take from this whole thing, leadership. And by leadership, I mean that, Kelly, you made mention that after it, there has been this dismissing of it. There has been this blaming of a younger staffer and all the name of a nameless staffer. And we as leaders know that ultimately, it's the buck always stops here. And that's one thing for people to know that would consider being part of our organization, whether it's a partner or whether it's an entrepreneur, is that is the philosophy that we know, that is the philosophy that we teach, and that is what the expectation will always be with legacy. Is leaders, we don't hide, we accept accountability even when it's not your fault. I was speaking to a good buddy of mine, who happens to be a good friends with the former coach of the Atlanta Falcons, Raheem Morris. And he and Raheem were having a conversation. Raheem has now got a good job with the San Francisco 49ers, but talking about his tenure at Atlanta and how many things happen that are out of his control. But when it comes to the outside world, it's always on him. Now, behind the scenes, he will do what he needs to do, but to the outside world, it is always on him. And that's the sort of leadership you have to have. That's the sort of leaders that we're going to be building, because that's the sort of leaders that we are. The last thing that I'll say about this is that, and again, credit to y'all and special credit to Kelly, who was checked out and said, "Hey, she just gave me the straight dope. Like, this is a distraction." And it is a distraction. And we have so much good work to do. And these sorts of distractions take us off task, because as I teach in sales, and those of you that have become part of our cohorts will understand this, emotion motivates and ration educates. Emotion is a powerful tool, right? It's a powerful tool in sales and growing your business. When you understand how to use it properly to emotionally motivate people, it's also a powerful tool in politics for distraction and dividing people, as Nathan, as you said so eloquently. So yeah, those are my thoughts on that. Before we move to the next topic, any final thoughts on that from you all?
no, not for me.
It's on the business, right? Like, hey, we're
Let's go.
done. I love it. So topic number 2 is corporate DEI rollbacks, right? It's been happening for the last couple of years, largely politically motivated. And so, but what it's done is, we all know about kind of like the big picture thing, like DEI roles and all that, which is fine. But I have another. I'm just gonna mute this one right quick. I have another connect who is a procurement person, a very big company, multi-billion dollar company that everyone knows. And this person has had to be very careful in their procurement work. They are a person of color, but they've had to be very careful in their procurement work and in their assigning of these contracts to companies, because these big companies are so sensitive to looking like they're giving any preferential treatment to people of color or ethnic and gender minorities. This is a real thing, and this is part of this whole DEI rollback. So I wanted to get kind of you guys' thoughts on that. Like, one, just any general thoughts that you have around it, and two, any thoughts about what do we do? What do people that are out there do? What can we do to make impact and to combat this in my opinion, an obvious attack on marginalized groups? Nate, do you want to start with that one?
Yeah, sure. I think the first piece from a corporate perspective is, if you just sit back and observe over what's happened since last January, the fear of retribution and enforcement on this rollback is greater than any perceived benefit that these corporations have. And I think we're seeing that strategy backfire in the loss of revenue for some companies and the increase in revenue for others. Look at Target versus Costco as an example. It amplifies and sends a very clear signal to our community about the circulation of the black dollar in this economy and the power that we have. I just wish that we could get on the same page to wield that power more, not just in terms of the economic impact, but the political impact from a voting perspective, and then the social impact in just standing our ground. And I think patronizing companies that are willing to do the right thing and stare this right in the face and act with value and courage, because it is the right thing to do. And I'm not talking about entitlement programs. I'm just talking about fairness, right? Fairness and what should be common sense, which is not so common these days. So I feel that there's some lessons learned on both sides in terms of the economic power. I feel that clearly Target is feeling the large brunt of that. There are other companies, Walmart, for example, that need to feel the same message. And I just feel that we can do more in that space.
Oh, I love it. Kelly, what do you have?
Yeah, I'm gonna jump in here. So a couple of things. One, I want to kind of level set. We say DE&I, but we don't necessarily really understand what that impact is. And so diversity, equity, and inclusion means so many things to so many people. And so really what it was let's look at instead of maybe looking at education of having a bachelor's degree, okay, these are in non-life-saving roles, right? Instead of looking at maybe a bachelor's degree or a master's degree, let's look at years served. Like, how many years have you actually been in this role before? In addition to looking at the qualification of school. That fell under DE&I. The ability to have larger screens for people who might have had eyesight challenges fell under DE&I. Women being able to breastfeed at work fell under DE&I. In addition to making sure that salaries were commensurate with the actual role, and people weren't just getting, there was a standardization of salaries from HR, right? All of those things fell under DE&I for whatever reason, when really what DE&I, although it attached and it tackled those very necessary issues and a ton more like that, paternal, right? The fact that when men and women have children, because it takes two of those to have a child. When they have maternity leave, they also have paternity leave now, because I don't know, maybe the dad wants to spend some time with their child too. That fell under DE&I. I digress. The thing that I think is really important, though, is that what really it became was a education session more often than not in some of these organizations that are now doing a rollback. It more so became an education session the people who were diverse to teach the non-diverse people about who they were and why they were important, and why certain holidays have meaning and why certain holidays needed to be holidays. And so honestly, as I understand DE&I rollback, I understand what it means and the impact. I also believe that the organizations that have been doing it really well for a long time um, never called it DE&I, and they were just building really good, like Cisco, for instance, have has always had communities for years. Cisco, and I'm gonna rhyme, but Nabisco is one of those as well. Like there's a
Cisco,
couple of,
Nabisco, Briscoe.
yeah, I mean, there's quite a few organizations who have just done it well and they didn't need a title to it. So what I actually believe is that the organizations that are rolling back are kind of just showing us again, which I kind of feel like the theme of our conversation is who they really are, and who they really were, and what their intentions were behind it. And it wasn't to serve their constituency. It wasn't to serve their employees, or their customers. Actually, it was to serve what was popular and on trend, and now it's not popular. It's not on trend, so it's time to step away. One other thing I'll say is that I'm okay with that to an extent because it's also helping us redefine communities locally. We talked about farm to table, 10 years ago, but now because some of these organizations, we're deciding with our dollars not to spend dollars there. Now we're spending more dollars in our community, and those businesses that are having challenges or seeing this growth are able to barter with other businesses. And so you see these really cool collabs happening. So honestly, yes, get to see who you really are, but at the same time, I think our community benefits because they are able to barter and do more business together.
Man, great points from both of you all. And thank you for sharing. I'll say just to kind of take it a bit step further, Kelly, and kind of what you and your response to it. When you say these companies are showing who they really are, I've often said that I believe that one of the things that just in general that we do as consumers is we fall into the trap of seeing companies and corporate interest, we're giving them human-like qualities and not respecting what they really are. These are for-profit industries. They don't care about individuals. They care about profit margins and P&L and investors and that sort of thing. So when you really understand that, you can understand how they change policies like this, how they move, and how some of these decisions that they make that could be short-sighted are focused on short-term monetary goals and objectives. So that kind of is what it is. I kind of one of my issues I think with the DE&I thing, just in general, is the perception by people in our community, and by community I'm talking about the country, I'm talking about everybody, and not recognizing and realizing that we all check one of those boxes eventually. Y'all hear me? We all check one of those boxes individually. Either you could DE&I also advocates for elderly, disabled. Like these are things that when you're not in those groups in the moment, you're not seeing the importance and impact of advocating for those groups, but you will at some point. We all will. So that's the only thing I'll say about that. Now, to me, I believe it's just a further call to action to take control of your destiny. And that's what we're doing at Legacy, is providing a path for people to be able to do that. That's what my parents have always done. That's what I've done. And that's what I'm really excited about helping other people do, is to unplug from the matrix and create your own matrix. So that's my thought on that. That's how we respond. So we can complain about things that we can't control, which my friend Kelly has put me on game, got me back checked in the game. and notice and focused on what it is that I can control, and then taking that action and having a mission and achieving it. So that's what I'm excited about. Again, for those of you that are interested in being part of the Legacy mission, being part of the community, go to legacytsd.com and check in. And whether you are someone that could be, again, a candidate, an applicant for a cohort or a strategic partner, or you just rock with the mission and you're like, hey, I love what these folks are doing. We need you. We need all of you because we're doing something that's never been done before. Okay, the last topic, and this ties into the previous one, SBA lending changes. These are taking place March 1st. And some of these changes are in a direct kind of like connection or through line to the previous topic, okay, and politics right now. So these changes, they're gonna impact marginalized groups in terms of and the first thing that I will say, without pulling up there and putting the full numbers, I've seen these numbers many times over time, being an entrepreneur over 20 years. The perception that somehow there are more minority businesses that are benefiting from SBA over the majority groups is not true. You can Google it yourself. It just isn't true. But I think but due to these changes, there's going to be pushback on these underserved communities getting access to SBA funds in the way that they were available in the past. Nate, as our COO and the guy that goes to sleep thinking about numbers and structure and all that, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with what you said. I think it's another reason, as you said, control your destiny or someone else will. So going back to the whole fairness practice piece, I think that this will adversely affect minority businesses much more than is estimated. Number two, I completely agree with you. 98% of the businesses in the U.S. are small business, and they're not minority owned. So just the law of large numbers says that you've got a small percentage of minority owned businesses today that exist in the SBA pool. You've got an emerging number of this current generation who believe in entrepreneurship and need a small business jumpstart that are likely eligible for SBA that may be eliminated from this next programming. So it just creates a potential backlog. And so we have to find alternative pathways to growth. This goes back to collective responsibility and pooling resources to overcome this particular issue. Kelly, I think you were going to say something.
Yeah, I kind of try to redirect to the things that we can control, and in this case, obviously, we need to get out and vote, see if there's any way to, I don't know what that looks like because I haven't done enough research there, but there has to be something. But if for nothing else, there is a U.S. Black Chambers, there's U.S. Black Chambers of Commerce, there are all these organizations, and they're your local, in Houston, there's the Greater Houston Black Chamber of Commerce, all these different spaces. We need to double down, and it's again about building community for us and by us, and leaning on each other. Honestly, we used to have a ton of Black owned banks, right? Savings and loans and different things, right? And if we're going to be left out of it from a government perspective, then we need to lean into it and be our own savior, if I could dare say that, but save ourselves. And we have plenty of dollars to do so, clearly. So why not, redirect those dollars and put a program together at a local level, city, state level that empowers our businesses to be able to have economic development in our community.
Thanks for that. So some real numbers, just so that we know what we're talking about. Okay. Guess just businesses that would qualify as, in terms of being small businesses in the country. What do you guys think the number of small businesses there are? Just in general, throw out some numbers for me.
Are we talking about percentages or thousands?
Nope. The just bottom line number. How many small businesses in the United States?
I'm gonna go with like 20 million.
Yeah.
Good guess.
gonna
Kelly,
say-
what you got?
Yeah, I was gonna say somewhere around 10 million because I'm just thinking in Houston alone. And I'm thinking the rest of, maybe I'm gonna probably go close to Nate, 20, 30 million.
Okay. All right. Are we doing prices right? She said, Nate, you said 20 million. I go 20 million $1.
Yeah.
So, Kelly, you win. Okay. The actual number is about 36.2 million.
There you go.
36.2 million. Okay. So we've got 36.2 million small businesses in the United States. Now give me a number for the amount of Black businesses, Black owned businesses, where I'm talking about this as small businesses that actually, this is beyond small business. This is just in general. I gave you 36 million as the small business number. Now, just Black businesses, Black owned businesses, or where someone, the majority owner is Black, or qualifies as, Black or African American. What do you guys think that
1.2
number is?
million.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go 1.5.
Oh man, y'all are living in a world of
Fantasy.
where we hope to be someday.
Optimism.
So here's the true number. This is a couple years back, but I think it's safe to assume that it hasn't increased dramatically since then. 194,585.
Oh my goodness! Out of 36 million. Wow.
Yep.
That's scary.
Think about that.
Right.
Okay. All y'all that are watching this, think about that. Okay. So going back to this SBA conversation, because there's always that false narrative that's put out there, in terms of who benefits from these things. And now those folks are hurt that might qualify, which, by the way, if anyone's been through the SBA process, they're not just sitting, which I have, they're not just sitting there like waiting to give you money.
Absolutely.
No.
They're not saying, hey, you're Black, here's money. Don't work that way.
Not a grant.
And I didn't get any money from the SBA until I had a lot of money. Before that, they didn't want to give me no money. Then I had money and they said, oh, here, we'll give you more money. Okay. That's the way that it works. Now, so I'll go back to, again, what we've been talking about and the mission behind Legacy and what we're doing. Like, the reality is that it's going to become that much harder to be successful. And these are the things that we're telling you in these last two topics, whether it's the DEI corporate rollbacks or it's the SBA. It's going to be harder to be successful in a world where we already aren't very successful. 195,000 businesses out of 36 million. Okay. So that's what makes our mission, that's what makes our model that much more important. You happen to be successful in entrepreneurship, you got to have a great plan, you got to have resources, you got to have relationships, you got to have structure, you got to have accountability, and if you're lucky, you get community. And that's what we've wrapped up in a tight bow to help. Listen, we can't guarantee anybody's going to be successful. I can't guarantee your success, but I'll tell you what, we done damn sure put a whole lot of work into making sure that we launch people the very best way that we possibly can and expedite your success, because that's the other part of it, right? Starting a business, there is an investment, resources, time, money that is inescapable. So what you're trying to do in starting a business is try to expedite those things as quickly as possible. And when you haven't done something before, it's impossible to do that, because you just learn through making mistakes. And if you make the mistake and then you make that adjustment, but those mistakes all cost money. So what we've done is created a platform where we can minimize those mistakes. I can minimize those expensive lessons because of our expertise, because of our experience, because of strategic partnerships and strategic alignment to help you all get to where you want to be faster. And so, by these sobering things that we're talking about today, these are facts, y'all. It like we're not out here saying that, hey, it's going to be easy for you. It's not going to be easy. You're going to have to put in work. But if you put in the work and you have the right team, what's on the other side of that, man, it's freedom. It's freedom. It's freedom from all this bullshit that we just talked about. You get to start charting your own course. You get to start building your own legacy, right? So, and that's what we're about. So, hey, team, thank you for hopping on this. Again, the goal on this is we want to share kind of some of our thought leadership. We want to talk about the legacy story, talk about what our mission is and how we are putting action in place to address these things that are real things that if y'all not scared, you should be scared. Those numbers were scary, but they're real. And the first step to being successful is understanding the landscape that you're dealing with, understanding what's really going on, accepting the truth. So that's the truth. Hey, Nate, tell people if they are, just as we're starting to close here, just if you could just go over our process for applicants and how if you're interested in being a cohort member, how they can get checked in, how they can apply, and what our process is for reviewing and acceptance.
Sure. So the first step, as Ronell mentioned, you can go to legacytsd.com. We'd love for you to register and check in as an applicant. You fill out a profile and that will be reviewed. Feel free to share who you are. We want to know about you. We want to learn about you. That's part of the discovery process. And you also need to do your due diligence on the three of us and what we're setting out to do with our mission. So with that screening process, if you are effectively positively screened, we'll schedule interviews via Calendly. You'll speak with the three of us one-on-one and individual interviews. Then we have a conversation, right? That conversation really is about your potential, your fit, your ability to contribute, and not necessarily right away, but your learning aptitude, et cetera. And then the next step is then to review and sign an agreement, right? It's a contract agreement for you as a consultant. And then once you pay your tuition, which is $5,000, we have agreed to basically establish you as a member of the community, and then that sets up access to our learning portal. And if I could talk a little bit about that, Ronell and Kelly have spent a lot of time in this in terms of training, and there's 4 components. So essentially there's sales and business training. Not only do we teach you how to sell, but we teach you how to set up your business. For those of you who have never established a 1099 or gotten your EIN number from an LLC perspective, we teach you how to do that first, going back to blocking and tackling. Number 2, that's fueled by Ronell's Sales Academy training, as well as that of Teleris's learning portal. And so the best of both worlds, a lot of content to, again, reduce your learning curve so you can spend less time learning through pain and more time providing solutions for customers. The next dimension is product training. Kelly has worked hard to qualify many of our suppliers. And so with that comes product-specific content that we will educate you on, and you'll receive a matrix of what these suppliers provide in their space to put together the best fit solution for your clients. We have office hours that are a combination of peer learning and facilitated group training. What are you seeing out in the field? What did you learn from that last module? Broken down into bite-sized digestible chunks on a weekly basis. And we complement all of that with office hours, which is an open and safe environment to answer and follow up to any questions you may have, whether it's starting up your business or a product specific question or a process question about the sales process and how to serve your clients. That's a 90-day process. We expect that at the end of 90 days, you'll be on the road to making your first sale. So it's an investment in time and resource, but we are adequately prepared to do that. We've got a ton of content to share, and we're ready to go.
Thank you, Nate. Yeah, great stuff. So Kelly, you're working very diligently on making sure that we have the very best suppliers, supplier partners as part of our portfolio to serve our members. Could you speak a little bit to that process and speak to some potential suppliers out there in terms of how they should be engaging with you if they want to be part of our community?
Yeah, so the what we're calling the fundamental five tech stack is really important. And how we've curated that is with access and mobility, telecom expense management, unified communications and CCaaS, cloud and cybersecurity. And really the entry point or our Trojan horse, I would say, is going to be under telecom expense management. That's way we get a good visual of what the customer's spend is already. And then we sell in more of an ecosystem of technology. We're solution based. We're not just going to go in and reduce the cost of your fiber connection today, right? We're going to go in and we're going to say, hey, we see that you're spending money here, here, and here. And also, we understand that your team is using AI platforms that you may or may not even know that they are using, right? And so we're going to help them standardize. We're going to help them really understand what's being used for as far as software within their organization. Obviously, price is important, so we want to do that. But more important is the relationship with the vendor and the success of that vendor. So in my process of interviewing vendors, I'm doing just that. Do we have a dedicated solution consultant? What's your process in introducing your technology, if it's a new technology, to our customers? And what does that look like? And obviously, making sure that they are going to be in it with our office hours for our community members as well, so that they feel very well versed on this technology as they continue to learn and get out into the community. So I need that buy-in and that commitment from the vendor suppliers to do so. It's been really fun reconnecting with some of the vendors. Obviously, I've been in this industry for a while now, so quite a few faces have moved around a little bit. And I've been able to reconnect with some really cool people. So that's been great. So outside of that, yeah, we're ready to kick this off. And I know that we're going to bring some amazing vendors to the table. And for the vendors who are interested, obviously, the call to action is to reach out to me or go to legacytsd.com, obviously. But what's really exciting is that you're getting brand new partners. We're calling them community members. You know them as sales partners to this ecosystem. And what I've been sharing with the vendors is that when you are able to be on the front end of their education, that's the large impact, right? So the handful of vendor suppliers that we're going to align with only about two with each of the technologies that I mentioned. The neat thing is you're the first, sometimes, outside of the technologies that they might be interested or familiar with already. If you're bringing something new like cybersecurity to them, you're the first one. So you kind of have, a very unique impact on their education around that technology. So yeah, I'm excited.
Thank you, Kels. And Nate, thank you. And most importantly, thank you all for checking in and watching this. What I hope that you took away from what Nathan and Kelly just said is that there is a very focused approach to success here. So we're trying to not leave things up to chance. And so the way that we're educating, the way that we're developing, the way that we're partnering is based upon 2 years of preparation. So if you're interested, again, legacytsd.com. Go to the site. If you're interested in either one of those programs or you're interested in just supporting the work, we need you. So let's go. We got a lot of work to do. Hey, team, thank you for your participation. This was awesome. And if you guys have any questions of us, feel free to throw them in the chat. Or we'll comb that and go back and answer those questions, and make sure you join us for our next live, which will be in 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Okay. Peace out. Thank you.